Well, good afternoon, all, and I welcome you to another, topic of ESOP knowledge series. It's sponsored by ESOP Easy. Here, I'm Shashank Bukare, and today, we'll be mostly discussing about, uh, you know, the the webinar mainly will be taking you through the all aspect of the employee trust, like including what, why it matters, and how to generate it. And this will provide the answer to the questions like, why is employee trust is necessary? The questions like, what happens when employee don't have trust? How to assess whether your employee trust your ESOP plan or not? At the same time, what can we do to generate the trust in your ESOP plan? To get all the answers in your mind, we'll be answering those questions in today's webinar topic. So I would like to welcome Uma Shankar Acharya over here. To introduce Uma Shankar, he has, there is a lot to talk about Uma Shankar, but yes, definitely this probably, the time constraint. But yes, to talk about Uma Shankar is with us more than 12 years with ESOP Direct, and he has been handling, the major consulting assignment. He's a partner in consulting. At the same time, he's a corporate law, uh, tax, and compliance professional. He's a regular speaker on various ESOP, company secretaries forums as well. At the same time, he provides trusteeship, trust management, compliance, disclosure services in respect of ESOP transactions, right? So, uh, not taking much of the time, I would like to, request Uma to please take over and take us to the today's topic of how to generate employees' trust in your ESOP plan. Over to you, Uma.
Thanks, Sasank. Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you all are doing excellent. So today's session is a part of our endeavor of presenting a series of presentations on various topics of importance for ESOP implementation. We are fortunate enough that we have been serving since more than 2 decades. And during the course of our consulting experience and various other services in connection with ESOP, we used to interact not only with the company's management but also with other stakeholders, importantly investors, and not the, I mean, maybe the last but not the least, the employees as well, because we always do some kind of employee sessions, and we engage ourselves with the company's employees after we design a scheme and when the company implements a plan. So our work never stops after designing a plan or giving an ESOP plan to the company for implementation. But afterwards, given this long-standing experience, I mean, we used to watch, and our client companies used to update us about what is happening in the ESOPs. Uh, so during this long-standing interaction in connection with the ESOP implementation, uh, we uh, we we uh, we have come across with many aspects, very important aspects that used to influence the success and failure of ESOP plans. And one of such important aspects is employees' trust in the ESOP plan. So we have chosen this topic for today's session. And the contents of today's presentation may be seen from a practical orientation rather than the theoretical orientation. Now coming to, I'm just moving my cursor. Yes. So now, when we talk about employees' trust or trust in general, what is a trust? And we are going to discuss about. I mean, in the introduction part, we can see what is a trust, and afterwards we will see why trust is necessary and how to generate trust, and is there any way to assess trust so that company, in case of shortfall, is found out, then company can have a course correction so as to instill more employees trust in an ESOP plan, so that eventually one can see a successful ESOP plan. So first of all, if we see what is a trust, trust is something that rests in the mind. It is a belief about a positive outcome, and it is a perception of not only existence of value but also the possibility to tap it. To simplify this, whatever I had said, there are two things important for building a trust. Say there is a company, and I, as an employee, if I believe that my company, my employer company, has value, that is a good thing. But I must also have the belief or perception that there is a possibility that I can tap the value too. So there are two things, and those two things must be present so that there is a positive trust for a positive trust built up. So perception of value, existence of value must be there, and there is a possibility to tap it as well. Now coming to a person convinced needs trust. So it is a common thing that a person who is convinced, that person must have trust, or in other words, if we tell the same thing, the principle in other way around, the trust brings the conviction. So now in the ESOP context, motivation comes from the trust, and motivation is the result of the trust. If employees have the trust in an ESOP plan, generally uh, they show motivation, and that is one of the core objectives of the ESOP scheme, to bring in the motivation so that employees can stay with the company and bring in the much desired corporate growth, etc. Now, when we talk about trust, and trust is attached with any, maybe any product, any service, anything, uh, trust is associated with. So if we're talking about long-term products or long-term tools, ESOPs are considered as retention tools, or long-term retention tool. It is a recognized long-term ESOP tool. So when we talk about long-term products or long-term things or tools, the trust must be of enduring in nature. So we cannot tell that the company creates the trust for few days in a month or few months in a year, but it must be a continuous process. Trust must be there without any break. And for whatever reason, if there is a break uh, in the continuation of the trust, that must be quickly repaired, and that bridge must be built very quickly. So in a nutshell, one can say it is a continuous process, and it is the long term process, and there is nothing short term as far as trust in the context of an ESOP scheme is concerned. If you are focusing the life of an ESOP scheme, it is spanning across say 5 6 years, then the trust must also endure for at least those many years, and beyond that year is a very ideal position, that is highly desirable. Now coming to the question, why employees trust is necessary at all. For establishing the true existence of an ESOP plan, distinguished from having a namesake existence of an ESOP plan. So obviously, I mean, we cannot say that any company wishing to implement an ESOP plan, we have never seen any company out of say 500 or 600 implementations we have personally say supervised or we have assisted. No company we have seen had implemented any ESOP plan deliberately to have a namesake existence. So every company wishes to implement an ESOP plan in a good, and they always believe that their ESOP plan will bring the fruits. But for some reason, uh, even though the intention was clear at the time of implementing the ESOP plan, but by flux of time, it was seen that with few companies, their ESOP scheme, I mean, the existence of their ESOP scheme used to be namesake. So on pen and paper, there is an existence of ESOP plan, but that is not reflecting in the employee behavior or elsewhere in the ecosystem. It is not reflecting whether they have the true, a true ESOP plan or not. So what is important in the employee's trust point of view is that employee's trust brings the true existence of an ESOP plan is distinguished from the namesake ESOP plan. Now, for employee engagement and participation. So here, as far as employee engagement and participation, this is a core aspect of any company, of any business plan. Employee engagement and participation is absolutely necessary. So in this regard, we can see there are two kinds of participation. One is willing participation, another could be the forced participation. And this is a common thing that you might have seen, that when employees out of their self will would be participating enthusiastically in the company's program in achieving of the business milestones, and they are totally self motivated. This is the situation. Another situation is that if there is no trust for whatever reason, for loss of job, for loss of service, for employees, any other problem, they may be forcefully participating and they may be artificially showing off the motivation for achievement of the business plan. So these are the distinctions. So if employees have that trust, uh, we can see that employees' participation is driven by the self will, and they're totally self motivated to do anything and to achieve the business targets. And this employee engagement and participation, uh, these are the activities, or these are the desirable outcome. Those are generally seen during the intended horizon of time. If the horizon of ESOP is about say 4 to 5 years, at least for that period, you can see that if employees have trust, then there shall be willing participation and motivation. Now coming to another outcome, that why employees trust is necessary is for achievement of the business milestones as one of the key objectives of the ESOP plan. Uh, you might have seen, we have seen, of course, in many cases that ESOP schemes sometimes, ESOP schemes of some companies uh, never mention ob- achievement of business milestones as one of the key objectives. So here the point is that whether achievement of business milestones or achievement of corporate growth, whether written explicitly in the ESOP plan or not, whether visibly it is written or not, but invisibly it is always there. When we talk about ESOP plan, we probably, whether directly or indirectly, we talk about the achievement of business milestones and corporate growth. So from that point of view, if employees have the trust in an ESOP plan, it becomes easier for achievement of the business milestones and for achievement of the corporate growth. So it helps in achievement of the key objectives of the ESOP plan. So here my point was that whether it is written as a key objective of ESOP plan or not, but corporate growth is essentially always a key objective of the ESOP plan, and for ultimately resulting in win-win for all stakeholders, including the employees themselves. So when we talk about an ESOP plan, the narrow interpretation could be that success of an ESOP plan benefits the employees. This may be a narrow interpretation, but the broad interpretation is that success of an ESOP scheme gives benefit to all stakeholders, not only the shareholders, not only the investors, promoters, but also to the creditors, suppliers, and to the customers as well. Apart from the employees, everybody is a winner in case an ESOP plan wins, or in case of a success of an ESOP plan. Uh, because everything is connected, every dot is connected in the business, every stakeholder's interests are connected. So when we say that ESOP plan is successful, it ultimately results in a win-win for all the stakeholders. That's why it is important we have carved out these four uh, broad pointers. There may be one or two other pointers, but these are the broad pointers we have carved out, articulated on. That's why employees trust is necessary. Now, coming to how to generate and assess the employees trust in an ESOP plan, particularly. Now, as far as generation of trust is concerned, we can check that whether employees believe in the company. Company here means we are focusing on four key ingredients, components of the company. The first may be the management, the policies, products, and or services. So the employees, at least the ESOP grantees, must believe in the management. They must believe the policies. They must have uh, pride in the products and services the employer company supplies. So if they believe the management, believe means I'm talking about the positive belief that yes, they believe. And in case, I mean, the question comes how to generate that. If whether they are believing or not, that can be assessed from their behavioral aspects, and uh, it can be instilled that, I mean, how to instill that belief is that by way of appropriate communications. So now appropriate communications, it can be town hall, it can be introduction to various products, and by by giving a sense that how their company is helping the society by their innovative products and services, and just to do any kind of communication so that employees must feel proud about the management policies, products, and services. They should just believe in the company. The second one, of course, is existence of a transparent ESOP plan. So here I'm coming to the typical case could be that I'm more talking about unlisted companies here, because listed companies, the rules are much more than those for the unlisted companies, because rules are not there as compared to listed companies. For unlisted companies, the rules are very less. So that gives a leeway for unlisted companies to draft the ESOP scheme in such a way that there are chances that some or many provisions in the ESOP plan seem to give, that is called not predictable by the employees. They cannot easily understand that. They cannot easily picturize about the kind of treatment of their vested unvested options, or the kind of liquidity they can make in case of some key events. So while drafting the plan, or before, I mean, while drafting the plan, while deliberating on the scheme structure, uh, reasonable steps should be taken so as to build in the provisions so that employees should have reasonable predictability uh, about their options. What will happen in case of, say, IPO? What will happen in case of, say, change in control? What will happen in case there is no IPO for a long time and company comes up with a buyback? Now, with a view to bring in the predictability, so it is important to avoid any kind of ambiguities or unnecessary open points. So either at the time of drafting the scheme or once the scheme is drafted, one should have a meticulous look at the scheme, and one should try to find out if there are unnecessary open points or unreasonable open points. I'm not saying that unlisted companies ESOP scheme shall not have any kind of open points. That can have open points because business is dynamic. So a company cannot write that a buyback after 5 years shall be done at a 500 rupees per share. No company would know that. But what is important here, what we are emphasizing here is that instead of writing a number, at least the principle can be decided, and the principle can be written with certainty, so that the employees can understand and can know and can picturize that yes, in case this milestone is achieved, in case that kind of, say, uh, uh, corporate action event is happening, then they can make out some X amount or Y amount or G amount of money out of the ESOP scheme. And at times, we have seen, uh, I cannot say, I mean, much, I mean, around say 30, 25 to 30% is unlisted companies in the ESOP scheme used to write in ambiguous terms, like that in case of any, say, change in control, or in case of any buyback event, the board may settle such number of options or at such value as it wishes. So obviously it is very much ambiguous. So a person, an employee who has say worked for more than say 5 years or 10 years or 7 years, which is the standard horizon for ESOP, uh, that person even would be totally perplexed as to what kind of value he's going to garner out of the ESOP scheme, even after working for 7 years. If the board would like to have these kind of ambiguities in the ESOP scheme. So these kind of ambiguities, once removed, that would definitely bring the trust, because they can picturize. Here again, I'd like to make a disclaimer that we are not telling to make a big commitment here. We are advocating for making the ESOP plan transparent. Whatever is the principle, that principle must be stated very clearly, without unnecessary open points. So that is the focus area of bringing in certainty, rather than unnecessarily showing up big commitments. Now coming to the next point of so now up to now, I mean, say there is an employee or an option grantee who has got the options. That person believes in the company. That person takes pride in the company, in the management, and all its components. And there is a beautiful plan that is a transparent ESOP plan, and that plan standard is considered say gold or diamond standard ESOP plan is there. But now the question is, if the ESOP grantee doesn't understand, or having a diamond or gold in his hand, still that person is considering that as a piece of any ordinary metal or glass, whether that would result in success of the ESOP plan. The important aspect is that, so because trust is a kind of say is a thing that rests in the mind. So employees must understand about what are ESOPs, how do they really work. It is vital for I mean, this aspect must be perceived by the employees, so that they can understand that what is in their hand, whether that is a piece of gold or it is a piece of iron. As far as knowledge of ESOP is concerned, appropriate sessions seem helpful for certain levels and below. So we are not saying that. I mean, if we talk about say a technological startup, I mean, technology startup, where say the top management or leadership team members have joined from say Microsoft, Google, or any kind of companies, and they have seen the ESOP. I mean, they are fully aware of what are ESOPs, how ESOPs work, etc. So for those kind of persons, it may not be important to again impart knowledge on ESOPs, but company should endeavor to give some kind of knowledge, which company should gauge that, or frame some kind of sessions that can be easily digested by the respective levels. And company, for this reason, can identify out of say, if you have 5 bands of employees or 10 bands of employee, which bands and below can be targeted for imparting the knowledge on ESOPs, and that can be tested as well, whether they know the ESOPs well or not. So in this regard, I'll just take one minute more to give you a practical example of what we confronted with one of the listed clients. That is not an unlisted client, listed client. Uh, when we got an assignment of a fresh assignment, that client had already an existing ESOP plan. And when we started questioning about the status of ESOPs in their company, so they said that they are now facing some kind of cancellation of vested options. So we asked that there is no reason why your employees are not exercising, why the vested options are being cancelled, for the only reason that they are not exercising, because the exercise price at that time was 50 and the market price was around say 170. So employees were sitting on a cash pile, and to our surprise, we came to know that employees are not aware of what they are supposed to do, whether they are sitting on a pile of cash or not. So those are lapsing. So that is an unfortunate thing that is happening. That employees were sitting on a pile of cash till they did not realize, and their vested options were lapsing because of inaction. They were not exercising within the time. And those employees may later on blame as well. Company had given some ESOPs and we didn't get anything. And I mean, one needs to find out where is the fault and what could have been done and what happened. Now coming to say knowledge is also important. Uh, Now talking about unlisted companies particularly, because for listed companies, uh, my pointer here is being aware of the business outlook. So if we talk about the numbers, the top line, the bottom line, the business outlook, etc. Talking about listed client, generally most of the information are in public domain. So to the extent a company is the list, I mean company is listed, this may not be relevant, but so long as, because our session is mostly for the unlisted companies, that data or crucial data is never in public domain. So ESOP grantees, at least the key growth drivers must be aware of the company's business outlook, the company's bottom line, top line and bottom line, uh, uh, the company's, I mean, expected uh, work orders and expected value of ESOPs today and if milestones are achieved. I mean, this is quite important. For example, a VP at the time of grant, if that VP was communicated that we are giving you some ESOPs which have the value of 20 lakhs as on today, but after 1 year, how the VP will picturize that the ESOPs in his hand used to be 20 lakhs, say 1 year ago, with a view to make it say 2 crores. What kind of uh, business milestones have to be achieved? What kind of growth have to be there? So this kind of sessions or this kind of awareness being given to the employees uh, generally result in uh, capacity enhancement for picturization about the kind of benefits they can reap out of an ESOP plan. So one can start picturizing if my ESOP value is 20 lakhs today. They can also ask that if we what we need to do so that my 20 lakhs ESOP can be say 2 crores or maybe 5 crores, and these have happened in past. So with appropriate formal, informal sessions, maybe town halls, this kind of awareness may be given. And here, uh, there can be challenge that if we talk about, say, there are 10 bands of employees in a company, all bands of employees may not be having equal mental capacity to digest these kind of business outlooks. So for that, company can either simplify the sessions, or the company in any case has to cover the key growth drivers, even though company uh, practically may not cover every person in the awareness system. Now coming to the thumb rule of assessment, that I mean these are all already there. So how to generate? So company has generated the trust, but it is not known as per the company's perception. They have generated. Every company believes in that, but what is the measurement? I mean, how to measure that? So there is no scientific apparatus. There is no scientific formula as of now to measure whether the company has generated the employees' trust in an ESOP plan, or to what extent the employees' trust has been generated in an ESOP plan. But of course, there is a thumb rule of assessment, and the thumb rule of assessment states that achievement of ESOP plan objectives like retention, corporate growth, etc., periodically against the target indicates that yes, there must be some sort of employees trust. Those have been generated, and yes, employees are continuously showing that trust. In IT companies, particularly, if, for example, if you see in the absence of an ESOP plan, uh, the attrition is around say 18 percentage, and after introduction of the ESOP plan, the attrition is going down slowly. It may not be overnight, but if it is going slowly and after introduction, say 2 years after introduction, of the ESOP plan, the attrition is around say 11%, one can definitely say that yes, ESOP plan is working, and ESOP plan never works without the employees' trust. So there must be employees' trust. It may not be 100% employees' trust also, but definitely there must be employees' trust. That's why uh, companies use to achieve the ESOP plan objectives. And ESOP Direct has been conducting ESOP survey since more than a decade or so, and our we always ask to all the participants to what extent the companies used to achieve the ESOP plan objectives, like retention, corporate growth, and other ESOP plan objectives. And around 80% companies used to say that yes, or more than 80% used to say that yes, that ESOP plan. Uh, I mean, they were able to, they were successful uh, in getting, in achieving the ESOP plan objectives, and they have achieved the retention. This necessarily state that yes, employees have generated. I mean, employees have the trust in an ESOP plan. Now, coming to employees' trust in an ESOP plan is vital for its success. So, one can say, I mean, when we talk about the success of an ESOP plan, we cannot boast of. We cannot say that employees' trust alone is the factor which results in success of an ESOP plan. But it can be definitely said that ESOP plan is one of the important parameters among other parameters, is one of the important parameters which makes an ESOP plan a success. It is definitely there because employees are at the receiving end. They must believe in the plan. If uh, they are having that belief, they are having that trust, the plan can sail through easily. Now, if you come to, I mean, the second point could be that the trust should be assessed. It is not a case that, I mean, a company has just drafted a plan, even though the company might have endeavored to reduce open points or reduce ambiguities, or the company might have endeavored to make a quite transparent plan. Instead of that, uh, it is the responsibility or ideal responsibility of the company to assess that trust from time to time by various mechanisms, including measuring the retention, reduction in attrition, uh, achievement of the corporate growth and other plan objectives. It may be a case that if say, there are certain vesting conditions like performance of any particular team or performance of any particular SBU, I mean, the achievement in terms of numbers can also tell that whether trust has been built in or not. So that must be assessed. Uh, in case there is a shortfall, if it is found that due to non-achievement or part achievement of the ESOP plan objectives, it may be uh, it may be held that probably full trust has not been built. So there must be course correction with a view to maintain it at least throughout the retention horizon. So it is a good proposition to maintain at all the times. But what is crucial is that if there is an ESOP plan and the ESOP plan's horizon is say 7 to 8 years or so, at least during that period, the trust should be maintained. But we cannot say that, I mean, you should maintain that trust only for that retention horizon. After that, nobody should care for that. So that is not the case. But at least care should be taken uh, for continuation of that trust for the retention horizon. Now, coming to employees, I mean, once employees' trust is there, I mean, employees' trust adds value beyond the mere success of an ESOP plan. So as we discussed, that when we talked about only ESOP plan, I said that when there is a success of the ESOP plan, it is not only success or it never results in benefit only for the employees. It has a bigger meaning. So employees trust when adds value, and in result it makes an ESOP plan a success. Uh, it is a success for other things as well. So it creates a good brand value for the company. It creates a niche place or niche space in the market for the company. A reputation is built. There is overall wellness. In the meantime, I may like to explain one point, and very crucial point, as I said in between, that what is the role of a transparent plan in bringing employees' trust in an ESOP plan. So, in that context, we have often seen, as I briefed, that some unlisted company schemes used to reserve right with the board, telling that in case there is a change in control, the board shall have right to decide how many vested options uh, can qualify for liquidity, and uh, at at uh, at any price that is decided by the board. So that leads to absolute ambiguity. And we have heard from while interacting with employees that they say that if they have worked hard, still they are in ambiguity. They are not uh, uh, they are not certain as to how many number of vested options can qualify for liquidity. They're totally in darkness. So these kind of things never motivate, because they lose maybe interest, and they don't bring in the trust what is required. So from that point of view, we necessarily insist while designing a scheme, and that is the message coming out with a view to make the scheme transparent. At least the principles should be concrete. The principles must be very much certain, even though it is very difficult to write a number. So company is not expected to write at what precise fair market value, like 500 rupees or 600 rupees, the transaction should take place. But company can always write that the buyback may happen, or the liquidity may happen at, say, X percentage discount or Y% discount from the then prevailing fair market value. And this is the last piece. What I say is a principle. It is not a number. So from that point of view, at least they can feel secured that yes, the company is talking about the then prevailing fair market value. So they will start believing that uh, they shall have a positive belief that nobody would be stripping off their benefit or genuine benefit what they have earned while working with the company. So that is a core aspect of making a scheme transparent, uh, and one of the one of the uh, prominent things to to bring the employees trust uh, for an ESOP scheme.
You can always post in a question. You can reach out to us also directly. We'll be happy to answer that. Right. And even those who want to refer, the material also, this PPT, even the recording format also, you can go through our YouTube channel, as well as you'll be getting the recorded session link also, and the PPT download link also. You can always refer the same, and you can come back to us. And thank you, Uma, once again for giving us such detailed, information on employee stress. And thanks all participants for joining the same. I wish you good day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Sapan.